Okay, so the apron is now completely stripped. Turns out that handle was just being held in with this little detent here. You got a little bar and a spring and a little screw. And like usual, once you finally get something like that apart, you feel stupid for not figuring it out sooner. But we got it, so I'll probably end up polishing this lever out. People I've seen the restored South Bends, and they always paint this, and I think they painted the originals, but I think it'd be nicer polished, so I probably will do that. Okay, well, now it's time to really attack this some more, and watched a nice video. Another fella, he took the darn it, I can't remember his name. I need to go subscribe to him and thank him in the comments. But did a nice video showing actually the assembly of the headstock on this, which is just as good as the disassembly. All I need to do is do what he did, do it in reverse. And even had a nice setup for very basic spindle puller with a couple of 2x4s, blocks of 2x4 and a piece of all thread and a few nuts and washers. Real simple, a lot nicer than trying to bang it out with a hammer, which you should try to always avoid if you can, although certain circumstances, especially getting old stuff apart, a little coaxing with a small hammer. And I probably use these small hammers more than anything else. Yeah, it can be real handy, or just for general work. I've got that one I made that's got a brass and an aluminum. It's got a brass and a lead face on it. And then this one's aluminum. People call that the little Thor hammer, but anyhow. Okay. I'll see you in the next clip. Alright, well, I'm firing up the torch and I'm going to get some heat on them screws and see what that does. These torches scare the crap out of some people. But if they're in good mechanical condition and you use the proper safety precautions, they're perfectly safe. They'll work good too. Alright. A little help from our torch and gunsmith screwdriver. These are great to have. They are not hollow ground, and so they're stronger than a hollow ground. And those are the ones you get out when you really need to torque on a screw and not have it slip. I was messing around with the impact driver here. Couldn't quite get it with that, but I wasn't exactly wanting to wail on it too much. And I broke one of the blades on my little Miller's Falls right angle screwdriver. But yep, they're loose now. And it didn't really take a whole ton of heat to do this. I didn't want to heat this too much because I didn't want to risk through uneven heating, warping or cracking this cast iron gearbox here. you know, unlikely, but it could happen, and if it does, I'm screwed. So, a ton of work would have to be done. Alright, now see you in the next clip. Alright, we got the gearbox off, and it seems that other than a lot of swarf, it's like somebody was machining some brass or some bronze and probably using compressed air to blow the lathe off, and of course using grease where they shouldn't be using grease. But I'm not seeing any broken gears, so that's a very good sign. You can see right here, that almost looks like a washer or something. That is all caked in swarf and grease and God knows what else, you know. But on the bright side, it's not full of rust. And from what I can see under all that swarf and grease and God knows what else, it looks like we've got a gearbox that's in pretty damn good condition. So I'm very relieved about that. I was worried that I was gonna have some broken gears in here, but you know, all the gears in here, they are available. Depending on the gear, it could be relatively inexpensive, or you know, you should just make it yourself. You know, and that's another thing too. You shouldn't really ever get discouraged, you know, when you have a lathe. You know, it's the only machine tool that can reproduce itself. So, you know, there is a way to make it if you're clever enough. Alright then. I'm going to go ahead and set this aside and work on dismounting the headstock. I may actually go and decide. I might actually pull the spindle and strip the headstock down some first. I'm not sure. Oops. Yeah. Alright. Well, I'll see you in the next clip here. It's everywhere. How does it even get that far back there? See? They must have been using compressed air on this thing. There's just no other way. See? Big chunk of swarf right there. There's no other way. This is why you don't use compressed air on your lathe, people. Or any machine tool for that matter, because it just blows all the shit further in there. And it gets stuck up in there, and then it messes things up. You know? Use a shop vac. A little shop vac like that is just perfect. Don't use compressed air. You know, I cringe too when I see guys out there and they're expert machinists. You know, Keith Fenner is in his videos. You know, he's using compressed air on the lathe all the time. And I don't agree with that. You know, but then again, it's his shop, it's his lathe. You know, the man. You know, he knows what he's doing. Not everybody's perfect. You know, he can do as he wishes, but should just really stick with the shop vac. More gold paint. Not only did somebody not have great taste in color, but didn't know what the hell they were doing. Anyway, I think the machine will probably look better in a dark gray, so that's what I'm going to do, I think. It's raining outside right now. It's been raining all day. Otherwise, I'd probably have put this in the dip by now. I've got a large plastic trash can, and I'm gonna sit this thing, and it should be just tall enough to sit this thing in. And then I'm gonna have my sacrificial anode over here, just opposite the bed, so that because it is directional, the electrolysis process, and it's gonna pull almost all this shit off of these bedways, and when it comes out, it's gonna look fantastic. It'll also take off the rest of the paint as well, which you know, it's already falling off on its own. Well, you'd think with all the chips on this table that I'd had this lathe working, but this is all crap that was trapped in there. And let's see, aluminum chips. It's like it was cut in parts yesterday. So, oh, I got to get the rack off as well. Yeah, because the headstock was blocking this last screw, so I haven't taken it off yet. I got to get the rack off, and I've got to get in here and very carefully try and get this warboard tag off of here as well. And I'll flip her over and take the feet off too. Okay. If you take your rack off, I was just noticing as I took it off, I think that it's important that you keep the screws in order and that each of these screws goes back in the same hole, because I believe that this rack is installed and then the bed is ground and fitted, because these appear to have the ground top on them. So just a little tip: you could probably run into some trouble if you started mixing these things up. So anyways, boy, that's got a nice rack. A little dirty though, but then again, so is everything else. I'm not sure exactly how these feet were fitted to the machine, if they put them on and then ground the bed or something like that, but so just in case, I want to make sure that these go on in their original orientation. So I'm going to just take my automatic punch here and put a couple of witness marks, and I'll have to deepen those a little bit so I can see them later, but on the insides, on the video cut out again. The camera ran out of memory. But anyway, as I was saying, and just also for my own memory, if I have to go back and watch this, I did witness mark the bed feet on the back side, on the inside of each foot, so that they do go back in the same position that they came from. I'm not absolutely sure if that's necessary, but it's good practice usually to witness mark things when you're taking them apart, if there's a possibility that it could go back on there the wrong way. And I ended up actually having to do that with a file, because you know, it was kind of rough casting scale, and that auto punch, that little auto punch, wasn't doing too much to it. So right now, as you can see, I've got the dip set up. Yeah, trash can was a little bit shorter than I thought it was in my mind. You know, I'm thinking, it's only a 3.5 foot bed. Well, the 3.5 foot bed is actually, it's a little bit longer, I think. I didn't actually measure it, so. Anyhow, there she is, and I got the lead screw over there as well. The feet are hanging in there too somewhere, and the rack is in there as well. That's my sacrificial anode, and that's just a little piece of angle iron. You know, probably a bed frame angle iron. Bed frames make a good source of, you know, anodes for this. though I don't have any left right now. I think somebody threw one out that I was stashing somewhere around the house, but anyhow, and you see I made a little cut and I bent that over so it hooks on the side. Didn't bother really to clean it off too much, clean the paint off too much. I scraped along the edges with a file. I find that, it's not really a big deal. It's more trouble than it's worth. It'll get going on its own. Same thing with people that make these connections super clean. I mean, look at this. I got rusty baling wire holding everything together, and it's connecting. It's working. So, and as that rusts too and gets eaten away, the paint will fall off. Pull it out every once in a while. Give it a little scrub with a wire brush real quick, and just knock some of the crap off of it. Like I said, doesn't have to be hospital clean. Will conduct electricity. It will work. It's a real simple process. I think some people try to overcomplicate it. Don't rush things. I've got it set right now on the 2 amp setting. Depending on your charger, it might say, you might have 2 amp at 12 volts or 2 amp at 6 volts. Try not to overdo it and blow your charger out. This is a nice older charger though. It gets the job done quite well. Yeah, still haven't disassembled my my headstock. I have to gather up the few materials. By the way, the person who did the nice video on how to assemble one of these, which of course will always teach you how to disassemble it, is Halligan 142, and he's got quite a few lathe videos up, and also one very useful where he was doing a rebuild basically on one of these gearboxes, showing how that all worked out, which is going to be very, very helpful. So I'm happy about that. What else did I want to say? Oh, I was doing a little bit of editing and stuff of the video earlier, and I was complaining about the compressed air, and I don't want that anybody to take that to mean, or especially if Keith Fenner ends up watching one of these videos. I don't want to take that to mean anything against him. And to be fair, he does seem to use it pretty sparingly and at low pressure. But he is an excellent craftsman, far more skilled than I. And you should definitely check out his videos if you're not familiar. As well as that Halligan 142. Excellent videos. Very, very informative, and in fact, where he rebuilt this gearbox, it was related to him actually converting his Model B, which was a standard change gear lathe but had the power crossfeed on it and everything, to the Model A. So you might want to check that out if you're interested in doing that, and if you can manage to find one of these gearboxes for a reasonable price. This gearbox here is worth what I paid for the lathe just the way it sits. Probably worth a little more once I get it rebuilt. Though I haven't any interest in selling it at this time. Maybe sometime in the future when I get another lathe. I don't have any interest in selling my Atlas either. That's going to continue to serve well. Atlas is actually, not a, it's not a terrible lathe. It's miles better than any of the Chicom stuff that you're going to get today. And if you treat them well, they'll serve you well. People do knock the Zamac, and even I in the other video was saying that, I was kind of scrutinizing the light construction of it, and all that I said was true. But you got to remember, cast iron is not that strong either. If you drop that gear casing on this concrete floor here, it's gonna break, more than likely. So, and it's the same thing with that Zamac. I call it fancy pot metal. You see these compound handles always, I always see these get broken. And usually if they're still serviceable, people leave them alone because they're just expensive. It's more than it's worth. You know, but over here, that's cast iron, same thing. So, you know, all machines will break if you mistreat them. And, you know, even though this has been mistreated, it's, you know, it actually doesn't seem like it's been mistreated too much. It's been neglected, I think, more than it's been mistreated. And probably because somebody broke that piece in the apron there. They probably took it apart, said, oh shit. Probably looked and saw that, you know, that you couldn't even get that casting, or that casting cost a friggin' fortune. And it sat somewhere, and it got neglected and disused, and, you know, probably whoever let this machine go to neglect like that, you know, is the one who broke that. Thank God they didn't use it for years and years and years and blowing more and more shit into it. So, you know, maybe in a way that actually saved the machine. Anyhow, this video is getting a little bit long, so I'm just wrapping up for the night. If you like these videos, like them, have something to say or have a question, please leave me a comment. And if you want to see more, please subscribe. You know, in the next video, you're probably gonna see this bed all nice and cleaned up and ready to get some paint on it, and then we'll start talking about paint. All right. Thanks for watching.